Colonel Childers reporting. As you ordered, sir.
Colonel, it is my duty to inform you that you've been charged with, you know the drill. This is the article investigation. You're facing a general court-martial and charged with violation of at least 3 articles. Everything from breach of peace to conduct unbecoming. At the bottom line counts, violation of Article 9. You issued an illegal order to have your Marines fire into a group of innocent civilians.
Murder, sir?
This court-martial convenes in 8 days by direct order of the National Command Authority. Terry, we've been friends for years. You want to tell me what the hell happened out there?
Marine, the crowd was hostile. They fired on us. They fired first, sir.
I want you to know I did everything to keep this from happening. It just happened to my hands.
All rise.
Action.
Be seated.
Look close at this picture. Why did the well-trained fighting unit have to slaughter unarmed men, women, and children? When their orders were simply to protect and, if necessary, evacuate the embassy. The answer is, they didn't. They were ordered to open fire, and that order came from one man, and this Colonel Terry Childers, who stands trial here, a day of sadness, a day when America has to accept responsibility for its failures and its mistakes as well as its glory. We will show you that the accused and his mindset and actions ignored the rules of engagement and went far beyond the scope of his authority to intentionally order the murder of the innocent people.
I believe that Colonel Childers is innocent of these charges. Took the case because I know Terry Childers. His word is his bond. He told me he did what he had to do.
Go.
We sent Terry Childers out on a very tough mission, and when it went bad, he did everything he could to save the lives of his Marines, save the lives of the embassy people. You turn around now and want to blame the whole mess on him. Send him to prison, possibly for the rest of his life. That's not fair, it's not right.
It was a large crowd. There was a lot of commotion. The noise was very unsettling, but it was a peaceful crowd. That is, until Colonel Childers arrived and prevent me from doing any abuse of ignorance.
Did Colonel Childers force you to leave the embassy?
Yes, he charged me. He started pushing us around. He physically restrained me from doing my job.
What was his state of mind at this time?
He was in a state of fury. He was disrespectful to me and to my family. How should I say, a murderous rage?
Do you remember what he said?
Remember he said something like, the diplomacy is bullshit at this point, and that nobody fucks with the American flag. Those were his words.
Thank you, Ambassador. No further questions.
You believe that an American embassy on foreign soil is sovereign United States territory?
As a general principle, yes.
Do you believe Americans have a right to defend the territory if it is attacked?
I think it's in fact attack.
Would you have expected Colonel Childers to surrender to the attacking crowd or to fight them?
I would have expected either the colonel should have let me address the crowd, then we could have withdrawn his Marines.
Would you have expected him to hold his fire as he withdrew, even if you were taking casualties?
To the extent possible.
So your order would have been, hold your fire to the extent possible. Marines, and to the extent not possible, fire away. Ambassador, this photograph is Exhibit C. What is that?
It's a security camera.
Is it mounted on the roof of the embassy and pointed down to where the crowd had gathered?
I would suppose so.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Is it in operation hours a day?
I suppose so.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you suppose there is a taping system attached to this camera?
Your Honor.
Yes. Where's the tape?
It is my understanding that if there were tapes, and damaged tapes, they'd have been sent to the State Department.
Undamaged tapes?
Well, there was destruction and looting after the tape.
As you withdrew, did you remember to take the American flag with you? Did you remember to take the American flag, sir?
Of course.
Where's that flag now?
I brought it home and returned
was shot to shreds, wasn't it?
With the snipers, yes.
Feeling ba?
You were in command of the travel team, the second ranking officer under Colonel Childers in Yemen. Yes. And you were in the roof of the embassy, were you not? Yes, I was. Colonel Childers ordered you to open fire immediately after Sergeant Richard was shot. Is that correct? Yes. Sergeant Krasnevich was not shot by the demonstrator. Was he?
Section! How could we know the exact firing position of the bullet that killed Sergeant Krasnevich?
Sustained. Counsel refrained from leading the witness.
Did you at any time receive gunfire from within the demonstration itself, Captain? I can't remember any fire from the demonstrator. To my knowledge, that is true. You killed the wrong people, didn't you? You shouldn't be firing at the snipers across the way. Isn't that correct? I can't answer.
Objection! Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
You shot at people who were demonstrating peacefully, who were not using deadly force.
Your Honor, that's not in evidence here.
Sustained. Major, I'm not going to harm you again.
Captain, what were the words Colonel Childers used when he ordered you to fire on the demonstrators? I don't remember the exact words, sir. He ordered me to open fire.
You obeyed Colonel Childers' order to open fire. Did you believe it to be a lawful order?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, it would have been your duty to disobey, is that right?
Yes, sir.
When your men opened fire on the attackers in the crowd, did the snipers in the building across the way cease their firing?
Absolutely, sir. It went completely quiet.
It would seem then that the two groups were actually one working together.
Objection! Counsel is drawing a conclusion for the witness.
Sustained.
Were you in a position to observe Colonel Childers when everyone was evacuated?
Yes, I was.
What was the last thing you saw him do?
He went to the platform.
Then what he do?
He took down the American flag.
Was he personally under heavy fire at that time?
Yes, sir.
No more questions.
Captain, prior to the receiving orders from the accused to open fire, where was the point of the greatest concern for the safety of your men? The crowd below, or the snipers in the buildings across the way? I'm not really sure. You're not sure? Well, I guess. Don't guess. I'll repeat the question. Was the point of the greatest concern the crowd below or the snipers across the way? I would have to say the snipers. Did you feel an immediate mortal danger from the crowd as a whole? I don't understand. You don't understand? No, sir. Let me help you. Were you worried you'd be killed by these people or these people? I wasn't thinking about this. Have you ever been under fire? You didn't see the crowd firing, but you did take fire from the snipers. Is that correct? Yes.
Our clinic is not too far from the embassy, so I was one of the first to get there.
Did you see any weapon on the bodies of the dead?
No.
Did you remove any weapons from these people you were treating?
No.
Not a single weapon anywhere among the victims?
No. No weapons.
In your opinion, is Yemen a training ground for the terrorists?
Not at all. In Yemen, you encouraged me to tour your clinic in order to witness the suffering caused by Colonel Childers' orders. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I found an audio cassette on the floor of your clinic. It's marked Exhibit R. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I found another one inside the embassy. In fact, I found several others. They're all marked Exhibit R. Will you translate the writing on the outside of the cassette? Declaration of Islamic Jihad against the United States. These audio cassettes are used for the purposes of religious and political propaganda due to the high illiteracy rate in Yemen. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will you translate the words you hear on the audio cassette for the court, please, Dr. Amar?
We call on every Muslim who believes in God and looks for reward to obey God's commands.
Dr. Amar, does it say what God's command is?
To kill Americans and plunder their possessions wherever it finds them.
Go on, please.
To kill Americans and their allies, both civil and military, is the duty of every Muslim who is able.
To kill Americans is a duty. Is that what it says?
Yes.
You recognize the speaker's voice?
No.
Dr. Amar, in your opinion, is this a propaganda representative of the demonstration?
No. I'm not a member of Islamic Jihad. The crowd was singing songs. I heard them from my clinic.
What What was your reaction when you learned that Colonel Childress had been selected to this mission?
I was very pleased. The colonel had a distinguished record. His national renown.
How did you define his mission?
We wanted to increase security, but frankly, if things got threatening, we wanted an evacuation.
So you weren't looking for confrontation.
No, that's what we wish to avoid at all costs.
What was your reaction to what happened?
I was stunned.
Wasn't the severity of the problem at the embassy understated?
Absolutely not. We operated on the information we had at that
I have here a State Department report from Yemen. It's Exhibit M. Will you read the underlined section for the court, please?
Certain January, grenade drone at police car. January, 16 Western tourists abducted by fundamentalist groups.
Go on, please.
A bomb explodes in a car. Stun grenade thrown at newspaper kiosk near a police station. March, a military officer is seriously wounded by Yemen's first donkey bomb. Explosives were apparently concealed under the saddle.
Thank you. I have another State Department document dated November. It's from the ambassador to you. Will you read this for the court, please?
Dear Bill, please, you must revisit our previous conversation in that the security measures we have taken are still inadequate for the protection of our mission to Yemen. You have to understand that when I received this letter,
Thank you. Now, are there cameras mounted on the roof of the embassy?
yes,
Are they designed to observe and record the activities in the public space outside the embassy?
yes.
Where are the tapes?
It's my understanding that embassy was looted. Maybe the cameras were destroyed.
This is a photograph. It is Exhibit D for the court. It's a picture of a camera on the embassy roof. Does it appear to be damaged?
No,
Where are the tapes?
I don't know.
Don't you think the United States owes it to Colonel Childress for years of service to find the tape and produce it here?
Objection! We don't know anything about any tapes. This is pure speculation.
Sustained.
This is a shipping manifest. It's Exhibit O. It is a list of items removed from the embassy during the evacuation and shipped to the State Department. Will you read line 6, please?
Digit name from security camera. VA, yes. War.
You too busy to look at those tapes or you just didn't care?
Objection! It's badgering the National Security Advisor.
Sustained. Counsel, praise. Proceed carefully.
Where are those tapes?
Objection! Asked and answered.
Oh yes, right. Don't you think it's funny that a tape that could exonerate my client is missing?
I don't think it's funny at all.
Withholding evidence is a very serious crime.
Objection!
Sustained. Counsel, praise.
Withholding evidence to frame a United States Marine is no less evil than charging my client with murder. Where are those tapes?
Colonel, I turned over all materials in my possession to Major.
If those tapes showed a happy crowd of peaceful demonstrations, we'd be looking at them.
Objection! Your Honor, this is contempt. There are no tapes showing the crowd firing weapons.
None that I'm aware of.
And the government has turned over all of its evidence.
Of course.
Colonel Hodges had gone to some length to have you read security reports illustrating violence in Yemen.
Yes, we have.
Here's today's Washington Post. Will you read these headlines that underline from today's Metro section?
Agent, kidnapper killed in rescue of businessman's son. Bomb threat evacuates. Museum of Natural History. Officer chases truck driver. Firefighter. Husband shoots wife. Himself in street.
Mr. Soka, does this random unfortunate news mean we should allow Colonel Childress and his troops loose in Washington, D.C.? Don't answer that. Thank you, Mr. Soka. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Will you please state your name for the court?
My name is B. Leca.
You were a colonel with the North Vietnamese Army, B Regiment, involved in a fight with American Marines at Kalu in Quang Tri Province.
Yes, I was.
Will you tell the court about the battle?
We were aware that a small unit of Americans were rear my company of men. We found ourselves behind their forces. This was lucky for us because we were outnumbered.
Do you recognize this man?
Yes.
Did he capture you and your radio operator that day?
Yes.
Did he remove your weapons and place you under armed guard?
Yes.
Do you consider yourself as a prisoner of war?
Yes.
Did he execute your radio operator?
Yes.
You personally saw him shoot a fellow prisoner of war.
Yes.
Where did he shot him?
In the head.
Thank you. No further questions.
Were your men annihilating that platoon of Marines?
Yes.
Did Colonel Childers force you to call your men off?
Yes.
Do you believe his actions were calculated to save the lives of American Marines?
Yes.
Would you have done the same thing Colonel Childers did if the situation had been reversed? Colonel Cao, will you have shot a captive American radio operator in the head if you thought it would persuade Colonel Childers to spare the lives of your own men?
Yes.
No more questions.
I was proud of my Marines. They show remarkable discipline.
Why did you fire at the snipers in the buildings instead of the crowd below?
Because I believe we're in great danger.
Was that crowd firing at you?
Yes.
The demonstrators in front of the building were firing at you in addition to the snipers?
Yes.
Why didn't anybody else see the crowd firing?
My men were under cover on the roof, except for Krasovich, who was on the observation post,
And why isn't he here testifying on your behalf today?
because he was killed in action. He died in my arms.
So you were the only man left in a position to observe that crowd?
Yes.
Where else have you been in that combat, Colonel?
Vietnam, Beirut, Panama, and Persian Gulf.
Can you identify that blue and white ribbon on your uniform?
It's a Navy Cross.
Do you remember that citation that accompanied that medal?
For conspicuous gallantry in the face of great personal danger, reflecting great credit upon himself, the United States Marine Corps and Naval Service.
Your witness.
Yuna, Colonel, you gunned down more than 80 people, wounded another 100 or so. Could this have been motivated by a desire for retaliation?
I was protecting my men.
Sergeant Richard Krasovich was shot only a few feet away from you, is that correct?
Yes.
And right after Sergeant Krasovich died, you ordered open fire on the crowd, is that correct?
I was taking fire. There were weapons in the crowd.
Well, you wouldn't shoot unarmed people, wouldn't you?
No, I would not.
Even in the heat of battle, you wouldn't shoot an unarmed person.
No.
This is an Exhibit F. Will you please read the following to the panel?
Rules of engagement, governing ground conflict in urban areas. 1. If possible, the enemy will be warned first, then asked to surrender.
Colonel, did you warn the enemy?
We were arrived in helicopters. We were standing on the roof, armed.
Did you warn them, either with the shot into the air or by the loudspeaker? Did you ask them to surrender?
No.
I'm sorry. No. You did not warn the crowd?
Yes, no. I did not warn the crowd.
Continue, Colonel. You seem to know them by heart.
Deadly force is the last resort.
Go on.
3. Then possible try to arrange the evacuation of civilians prior to any U.S. attack.
Did you do that? Try to evacuate the innocent people before you slaughtered them?
Objection, that is inflammatory.
Rephrase, Major.
Did you try following Section C of the Rules of Engagement for ground conflict in urban areas to evacuate innocent civilians?
No.
No. I just have one more thing. Colonel, did you have to repeat your orders to Captain Lee?
I'm sorry.
Did you order Captain Lee to engage hostile targets and he advised you that there were women and children in the line of fire? Is that correct?
He couldn't see.
Yes or no, Colonel? Did you follow your first set of orders?
I don't remember.
Captain Lee is on record as saying he hesitated and mentioned that the sniper in the buildings. Is his testimony accurate?
I don't remember.
Let me get this straight. You evacuate the ambassador, you go to the roof, 2 of your Marines are KIA, a 3rd Sergeant Krasovich dies, you give your captain an order which he doesn't follow. In fact, you question, and then you said what?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what you said next?
It was a combat, not some training exercise.
A moment later, your men were shooting. What did you say to make that happen?
I don't know.
You must have said something. Captain Lee reversed himself. What did you say?
I don't know the exact words.
Let me help you.
Your Honor,
You said, where's the motherfuckers, didn't you?
No, no, no.
You didn't say it?
It all happened so fast.
You're under oath, Colonel. Let me rephrase your memory. This is Exhibit Rye, a tape recording made aboard the USS Wake Island of all radio communication received that day, including your exact words. With your honor, with your permission, I would like to play this tape.
You got it on tape. Then I said, "You're killing my Marines." So yeah, I said it. Waste that motherfuckers.
Are these the motherfuckers?
Objection!
Overruled!
Yes.
These?
Objection!
Yes.
These?
Objection!
Overruled!
Yes.
Are these the motherfuckers that you ordered to be wasted?
Your Honor!
Major!
Yes.
The crowd in front of the office embassy had no weapons, did they, Colonel?
Objection! We found no sniper's weapons either.
Yes, they had weapons. You think there's a script for fighting a war without pissing somebody off? Following the rules, nobody gets hurt. Yes, innocent people probably die. Innocent people always die. But I did not exceed my orders.
There are rules, and Marines are sworn to uphold them.
I was not going to stand by and see other Marine die. Just to live by those fucking rules.
Colonel!
Your Honor, I request a recess.
Major!
The government is finished with Colonel Childers, Your Honor.
Wait!
The government is finished with Colonel Childers, Your Honor.
Alright, Colonel. You have the recess.
Colonel Childers is a decorated war hero, a trusted leader of American Marines, and I wish that was all there was to it. Unfortunately, there are dead Yemeni citizens, many of them are women and children. Colonel Hodges would have you believe that this crowd you are. He would also have you believe that there is a videotape proving this to be true. There is no tape exonerating Colonel Childers. There is no evidence exonerating Colonel Childers. Is Colonel Childers a man capable of killing defenseless, unarmed people? Is he capable of ordering the execution of innocent men and women? Is he capable of executing prisoners of wars with his own hand? Unfortunately, we have shown that he is. You have heard the sad testimony of Colonel Cow, who witnessed Colonel Childers' barbarism firsthand. You've even heard Colonel Childers' own admission that his desire was to waste them, regardless of who they are. Now we are faced with the difficult prospect of convicting one of our own. None of us wants to do this, but you've heard the facts, and it is unavoidable. Colonel Terry Childers ordered the senseless slaughter of a peaceful crowd. Now, as Marines, we do not get the luxury of covering up our mistakes. We must air them, thereby ensuring that they never happen again. Thank you.
That's sovereign United States territory. As much as if were in Ohio or Maryland, Colonel Childers did volunteer to go over there. He was ordered to go there because he was the best man for the job. We armed him. We trained him. We sent him over there to risk his life to save other Americans and then asked him not to return fire? There are over bullet holes in this building. Colonel Childers did open fire. He returned fire. And he waited until after 3 of his Marines were dead and another lay mortally wounded. He waited until he was personally under heavy fire. He waited until he saw that the crowd holding weapons. Only then did he order his men to return fire. Under the rules of engagement, a civilian pointing a weapon is no longer a civilian, and the use of deadly force is authorized in order to save life. It's not murder, it's combat. Colonel Childers is the only man alive who was in a position to see that crowd, but the camera on the embassy roof had the same point of view. The government would not have you believe there's no tape from the camera. I have shown you that the tape was delivered to the State Department. Do you believe that tape got up and walked out the State Department on its own? By not producing that tape, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Sokal, has brought dishonor to this court. Without that tape, I cannot show you that the crowd fired first and that Colonel Childers is innocent. But without that tape, they cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he's guilty. Here's my case. He's all I've got. 32 years of service, 32 years of heroism as a United States Marine. Regardless of what you decide here, Colonel Childers' career as a Marine is over. He will never again command men in combat. The ambassador and his family are alive today because of him, and I know how the ambassador feels, because Colonel Childers saved my life too. To ask this man to risk his life for his country
to ask this man to watch his Marine die in his arms and call it murder when he's defending himself. Call it murder for firing back when call it murder for saving the lives of his countrymen under the most extreme of circumstances. That's all. My fellow Marines, that's hanging out to dry. It's worse than leaving him, wounded on a battlefield. That is something you do not do if you are a United States Marine. And it is something that I pray to God you won't do here either.
All rise.
Colonel Terry L. Shoulders. This court martial finds as follows. On the charge of breach of peace, the court finds the defendant guilty. On the charge of conduct and becoming an officer, the court finds the defendant not guilty. On the